Warriors, Warrior Man here. Class begins right now. No matter how many years you've lived up till now, no matter how many years you have yet to live, no matter how many fuck-ups you've made in your life in the time you've had on this planet, no matter how much of that time you fucking wasted over and over and over, right now is the moment you have. That's all you've got. Right now, as you're watching me, you should be here now. Where are you? Where are you right now? Because most people can't concentrate on anything longer than 30 fucking seconds. And I hope you can be honest with me and tell me that you're looking right at me right now. You realize that I'm giving you my total, undivided attention because I want your mindset about yourself and about the world at large to change right fucking now. And we're gonna start with two things. Most people will say about virtues being those things that you put in action that lead to positive, good consequences. Vices being those things you do that lead to bad and negative consequences. Most people will say about virtues that the most important virtue to have is courage, that all the other virtues will follow from courage. Or the most important virtue is integrity or honesty or perseverance. Whichever one they choose is the most important one, they say that's the first one. You do that one, you practice that one, you put that one into action, all the other ones will follow. I disagree. The most important virtue that you need to have at play, that you need to have buried deep inside of you and it needs to be operating at its optimal levels all the time, 24/7, is your belief in yourself. Because if you don't believe first that who you are, this being that you are, this human being you are, your life here on this planet is of a value in and of itself, worth something, then those other virtues won't mean anything to you at all. They won't have any worthiness to you at all. Even if you happen to stumble by mistake or by accident across putting them into action once in a while. The first virtue you need to have operating at 100% is your belief in yourself. Belief not in who you are, but in what you are. What the fuck are you? You're an animal. You're an animal that's created by a fucking creator, and you have a unique set of skills and tools and abilities and powers that makes you more powerful than any other creation or being or animal on this fucking planet. You have your mind. Your mind gives you a greater power than any other animal that's been fucking created. And your potential in life lies there. It begins and fucking ends there. What you will do in your life, where you will go in your life, is how much you believe in the power of this fucking thing here. There are no limits on what you can learn and know with your mind and what you can achieve, how far you can push it, what kind of demands can be placed on it, what kind of challenges you can rise up to if you will only engage the power of your mind. And you have to believe that first and foremost. Because when you do that, then this potential for greatness you have inside of you is undeniable. You won't ever question it, you won't ever have any doubts about it. And you will know that the potential for this greatness is totally, absolutely fucking unlimited in every fucking way. This is what makes it happen. All you fucking guys out there that are strong under a bar, loaded with weight, pushing for those PRs every day, and I know that you come here because I did my injection videos, me on here, on the video, jacked you up to get in there and do that business. But it isn't just about making PRs in the weight room. It's about living a fucking strong life. And you start with power and self-belief in that you are a unique fucking individual. This thumbprint makes you different from the other 6 billion people on this planet. And it fucking stands for something. It's not for nothing. And you need to believe that with all that you are. Every fucking cell of your body needs to believe that you are one of a kind, that you are a fucking original, and that you will not apologize for it at all. And that's the second thing I want to talk about today. The lying stops now. The lying fucking stops right now. The lying you do to yourself every fucking day when you push back against the fucking greatness that wants to come out of you. From now on, You do not give the benefit of the doubt to the rest of the fucking world and all the other people on this planet. You take your head out of the fucking world's ass. You start thinking for yourself and you realize that not everybody on this planet wants to be a fucking leader. Not everybody on this planet wants to do something great in their lives. Like you feel that voice inside of you urging you on to do. No, you stop. You don't apologize anymore for this fucking greatness that lies in you and this desire you have to want to bring it alive. No more. No more at all. The world needs fucking leaders and it needs you. And that's why you're here. That's why you stepped up to the fucking edge of the cliff. You weren't fucking afraid and you're jumping off in free fall without a parachute. And you're gonna figure fucking things out on the way down. That's what we're gonna do here at Warrior University. From here on out, you stop lying to yourself. You stop allowing yourself to get by on the fucking weak-willed, weak-bodied, weak-minded thoughts that are always there, pushing to step forward. Step out in front of the fucking great ones and the bold ones and the brave ones. Bold is genius. You came here to be a genius. And from this point forward, here at Warren University, you're gonna learn about how fucking to take that world, take that fucking genius inside of you and show it off to the rest of the world. Weather's really important to me. I've commented on it a number of times. I grew up in Indiana. The skies were always gray. It affected my attitude. I didn't know that until I left there. After my first year of college, I went to high school and 1 year of college at Indiana State University, and then I went to Florida, Atlanta, and Dallas, Texas. But for most of my WWF careers where I was, it was great for traveling, great geography. Texas is a great place to live. The weather was good for the most part, but Arizona is what really did it for me. It's important to have sun. I know so many people who live their whole lives in Indiana, including some of my family. They have depression problems or down in the dumps more often than than others are, or than they should be. And I say it's because you don't get any sun. It's important. I mean, I can tell on those days when I spend most of my time 4, 5, 6 hours in front of a computer monitor doing stuff that I feel like something's been sucked out of me. That's why I say it's important to get outside and get active and use your body hard, really just intensely, you know, and sustain that as a habit. I mean, a lot of guys, I correspond with a lot of guys over the years about, you know, they sort of just give it all up. They just let it go, you know, not just how they physically look, but they're being able to summons up the energy and the intensity, the aggressiveness to get out there and really use their body. And that's just not a good thing to do. Look, in doing these videos, I want to make it clear that we're not just talking about exercise here, how to get your exercise act together. It's a big part of it. It's been a big part of my life. Turned my life around years ago when I was in high school and stumbled into the weight room, a great story. But it's about how to get your life act together. And last Friday, I do this in bits and pieces, and I talk in general ideas, broad ideas, and you can break it down and you can get into details and specific and the practical things you can do to make your life work. And we're going to do that over time. There's only so much you can do in one video, and I go on for 5, 10, 15 minutes anyway. So, and I am intense and passionate about life. That thing, that one thing, I am intense and passionate about life, having life, waking up every morning, having my eyes waken, and having another shot at this incredible experience of life. I just don't get it how people aren't intense and passionate about that. So many people are just dragging themselves through life. I don't want to be around people like that. I'm not inspired by people like that. That's not what you're going to get from me. There's a misunderstanding. Some of you think that I'm angry or I'm upset or I've got some issues I need to have resolved because I express myself in the way that I do, the explosive, chest out, in your face, bold, blunt, no bullshit way. No, I'm intense and passionate about life and getting the most I can out of it for the number of years that I have. Those of you who've been coming around for years, you know that. But if you're coming here new and you only have a picture in your head of the 1990s version of Ultimate Warrior and you're thinking, as a kid what you thought that person, that human being would be like, then you're in the wrong place. And you're going to have to bring yourself up to speed, or you're going to have to sit back and you're going to have to take a breath, and you're going to let me do it for you in the videos and stuff I can do. So anyway, on Friday, when I cut my video and I talked about a number of things, first of all, there were people that seemed to think I was saying to quit your job. I mean, I don't know how the fuck you could get that out of what I said. When I was talking about a job opportunity versus life opportunity, I wasn't telling anybody to quit their job. I just was trying to relate to you that I think your life is worth more than just a fucking job. I think that you came here to do something unique. You have something creative in you that's unique, where you can make your life work on your own terms. Call your own shots, be your own boss, be your own operator. I believe that. I believe that about every human being. I just don't believe it about myself. I'm not sitting here saying to you, hey, I'm up on a pedestal, look how great I am, you can't do it, this isn't the lifetime for you, maybe next lifetime. So many other people do that. I don't believe that about anybody. I believe people make their choices and they end up in shitty places in their life, but I believe there is not one human being that was ever born absent the potential to do something great in their life. Yesterday was Monday. I made the comment last week in my video on Friday that if it's the end of the week and you took a huge breath, sigh of relief that the week was over and you were off for a couple days, you didn't have to go back to your job, then I said, you're not doing what you should be doing in your life. You're not working on your true life's purpose, what you really came here to do. And yesterday was Monday. If you woke up on Monday morning and you were in a crappy mood and you were grumpy and you were whining and complaining and bitching and moaning, that you had to go back out in the workplace for another 5 days and work your 40, 50, 60 hours a week, work week, to get your paycheck, to pay your bills, to buy you the things that really don't make you happy except for the short period of time while you're shopping for them, put gas in your car to take you places to be around people that you really don't want to be around, go places where you don't really want to go, then you're not doing what you should be doing, and you need to look at that. So about that, I just wanted to say a couple things, give you a couple thoughts and ideas. I made the suggestion on Friday that you get off by yourself, you take a notepad, a notebook, pencil and pen, and you start putting your visions, your dreams, your thoughts, your ideas, your mumblings, your grumblings, what you think is positive, what you think is negative, if you're a single guy and you want to one day have a family, you want to have a beautiful wife, you want to have a beautiful home, beautiful material things, start putting that stuff down on paper. Look, we all have moments of brilliance in our lives. Most people live two lives. They live this fantasy life in their head, this dreamy life where everything's perfect, everything's incredible, everything is just absolutely awesome. And then they live this life that they get up and face every day, this life of reality. And they bitch and moan and they whine and complain about that. But you can't just have a vague idea about that you want to be successful. I want to be successful and maybe be able to point to a celebrity or entertainer or an athlete, a professional athlete or some other public figure and say, I'd like to be successful like that. You can't just say, I want to be rich without having some idea of what rich is for you, what rich would be for you. You can't just say, I want to have really nice, expensive material possessions. Okay, what? You got to be able to answer that. And so instead of having all this parts unknown, outer space battle going on in your head where your ideas just float around and there's never no record of them, and you don't put them down someplace so you can go and look at them, you can be reminded about what you're thinking, where you want to go, what your goals are in life, get them down on paper. That's what I mean. And I don't mean spend 5 minutes. At the very least, you should spend 3 hours. 3 hours at the least, at a minimum. You should sit in silence without any distractions whatsoever. Fight the distractions. And that will be hard for people to do today because people constantly want to be engaged by something. They can't stand to have silence. They can't stand to have only their own thoughts to themselves and nobody else around to busy up their minds. Sit for 3 hours and put it all down, everything about what you want to do. It's important to do that because you need to give some definition to what your goals are, some specificity and detail to what you actually want out of your life, what you actually want to be doing with your life to make you happy, so that you wake up every day and you're excited and enthusiastic about, yes, 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 this is killer. That's the way, this is the way that you should wake up and want to engage life. Show me, somebody show me, prove it to me. It's like the proof I've been looking for years, that somebody would provide to me that I have self-destructed. Somebody provide me the proof where your life is supposed to be nothing but just drudgery. Where you came here and there's no way out of some obligation that you needed to sign on for what was mundane, routine, boring, and just generic. Where is it? Provide it to me. And I will post it on Facebook. Every day, at the beginning of the day, I'll put it on Facebook, I put it on Twitter. I say I was wrong, and I will apologize. Another reason, look, putting stuff down on paper like that, it's a strategy, it's a technique, it's a thing that successful people do. Pick up some books and start reading about the success of other people. You're going to have to start building your own library. And pretty soon, and I did this before already through my blog, I had book list suggestions. Those are going to be coming back. We'll discuss books over time once we get up and running full-blown Ultimate Warrior speed around here. But it's a thing that they do. They put things down on paper. I carry a recorder with me. I carry a notebook with me. If I come up with an idea and think, yeah, man, that would be awesome, I need to do that, I need to get a record of it, because by the time I get back to where paper and pencil are, I'm going to forget about it. It's not even going to be a distant memory anymore. And when you get all this stuff down on paper, then you can start organizing it. Instead of just having all these ideas and thoughts and dreams and fantasies and visions and everything bouncing around the walls of your skull. You can have them on paper and you can start moving the pieces of the puzzle around. Because success at big goals in life don't just fall from the sky. You got to take steps, you got to plan, you got to be progressive about what you're doing. To use a weightlifting or an exercise or health and fitness analogy, when you go to the gym, you can bench press a certain amount of weight. You can military press a certain amount of weight. You can squat a certain amount of weight. You can curl a certain amount of weight if you're just starting out. And how do you succeed at your health and fitness goals? How do you succeed at getting in shape, putting on muscle, getting bigger, these type of things? You do it progressively. You make a plan so that over a period of time, you increase the number of reps you do in a set. You increase the number of sets you do. You increase the weight on the exercises that you're doing, on the sets that you do. You decrease the amount of rest time between the exercises to increase the intensity. You increase the intensity. All these different things that you use to progress. People today, and I talk to people like young people like this all the time, they think that success, the pot of gold, just falls from the freaking sky. If they just sing to themselves, or if they sit on the floor and they twist themselves up in the shape of a pretzel and they hum, that success at life is just going to happen. Dreams don't do themselves. You're going to have to do the work. Another important thing, another important reason why to put your stuff on paper. When you take it out of the secrecy of your mind, you breathe life into it in front of the whole world. And that sets off a manifestation of an energy, a karmic energy, where you draw to you opportunities, where windows and doors open up for you, where you draw to you interaction and resources of people and things that can be help, assist, or guide you, or give you leads how to achieve your bigger goals. I can't tell you how many times, and I don't mean this in the Ultimate Warrior parts unknown way, the mysterious, cryptic way that Ultimate Warrior used to do interviews. I mean it in a real life, concrete way. I can't tell you how many times I've planted a seed in my subconscious about something or someone I have to take the next step in a goal I want to achieve. And time goes by and I'll be goddamn if it doesn't just step right in front of my face what I need to have, the person or the thing. Most people attribute it to just some silly coincidence. It's not silly coincidence. It's because of the way you think and how deeply you believe. That's the important reason to do this getting the ideas and your dreams down on paper. The one last thing I want to tell you about it is that you need to be realistic. You need to be reasonable about what you do. If you're making $300 a week, don't sit down on a piece of paper and the first thing you write is, in 6 months I want $10 million in the bank free and clear. That's silly, that's stupid. Look at your life, be realistic, be objective about what your goals are and what your circumstances in life are right now, and go from there. If you want, let's say that you have a job that would allow you to save $100,000 in 5 years, free and clear in the bank. If you cut back on your expenses now, you trimmed your overhead, you gave up some of the stuff that you waste your money on, and you started disciplining yourself and saving some of your money every week. Put $100,000 down on paper. It doesn't mean that you're locked into $100,000. It doesn't mean that when you get to $100,000, your goals can't become bigger. But you do it progressively. This is how you do it. Some of you wrote me and you asked me, well, what does it mean to go off by myself and sit and be alone and write my things down? This is what it means. Success in life just doesn't happen. You've got to do the work. You got to make it matter, because it does matter. Every day. Never does it not matter. Does matter. Training the will. The education of the will is the object of our existence, says Emerson. Nor is this putting it too strongly if we take into account the human will and its relations to the divine. This accords with the saying of J. Stuart Mill that a character is a completely fashioned will. In respect to mere mundane relations, the development and discipline of one's willpower is of supreme moment in relation to success in life. No man can ever estimate the power of will. It is a part of the divine nature, all of a piece with the power of creation. We speak of God's fiat, let there be light. Man has his fiat, will. The achievements of history have been the choices, the determinations, the creations of the human will. It was the will, quiet or pugnacious, gentle or grim, of men like Wilberforce and Garrison, Goodyear and Cyrus Field, Bismarck and Grant, that made them indomitable. They simply would do what they planned to do. Such men can no more be stopped than the sun can be, or the tide. Most men fail, not through lack of education or agreeable personal qualities, but from lack of dogged determination, from lack of dauntless will. It is impossible, says Charman, to look into the conditions under which the battle of life is being fought without perceiving how much really depends upon the extent to which the willpower is cultivated, strengthened, and made operative in right directions. Young people need to go into training for it. Those who are determined to have athletic willpower must take for it the kind of exercise they need. The athlete trains for his race, and the mind must be put into training if one will win life's race. It is, says Professor Matthews, only by continued strenuous efforts, repeated again and again, day after day, week after week, and month after month, that the ability can be acquired to fasten the mind to one subject, however abstract and naughty, to the exclusion of everything else. The process of obtaining this self-mastery, this complete command of one's mental powers, is a gradual one, its length varying with the mental constitution of each person, but its acquisition is worth infinitely more than the utmost labor it ever cost. Perhaps the most valuable result of all education, it was said by Professor Huxley, is the ability to make yourself do the thing you have to do when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. It is the first lesson which ought to be learned, and however early a man's training begins, it is probably the last lesson which he learns thoroughly. When Henry Ward Beecher was asked how it was that he could accomplish so much more than other men, he replied, "I don't do more but less than other people. They do all their work 3 times over, once in anticipation, once in actuality, once in rumination. I do mine in actuality alone, doing it once instead of 3 times. This was by the intelligent exercise of Mr. Beecher's willpower and concentrating his mind upon what he was doing at a given moment and then turning to something else. Anyone who has observed successful men closely has noticed this characteristic. One of the secrets of a successful life is to be able to hold all of your energies upon one point, to focus all of the scattered rays of the mind upon one place or thing. The mental reservoir of most people is like a leaky dam, which we sometimes see in the country, where the greater part of the water flows out without going over the wheel and doing the work of the mill. The habit of mind wandering, of worrying about this and that. Genius, that power which dazzles mortal eyes, is oft but perseverance in disguise. Many a man would have been a success had he connected his fragmentary efforts. Spasmodic, disconnected attempts without concentration, uncontrolled by any fixed idea, will never bring success. It is a continuity, a purpose, alone that achieves results. The way to learn to run is to run. The way to learn to swim is to swim. The way to learn to develop willpower is by the actual exercise of willpower in the business of life. The man that exercises his will, says an English essayist, makes it a stronger and more effective force in proportion to the extent to which such exercise is intelligently and perseveringly maintained. The forth putting of willpower is a means of strengthening willpower. The will becomes strong by exercise. To stick to a thing till you are a master is a test of intellectual discipline and power. It is astonishing, says Dr. Theodore Cuyler, how many men lack this power of holding on until they reach the goal. They can make a sudden dash, but they lack grit. They are easily discouraged. They get on as long as everything goes smoothly, but when there is friction, they lose heart. They depend on stronger personalities for their spirit and strength. They lack independence or originality. They only dare to do what others do. They do not step boldly from the crowd and act fearlessly. What is needed by him who would succeed in the highest degree possible is careful planning. He is to accumulate reserved power, that he may be equal to all emergencies. Thomas Starr King said that the great trees of California gave him his first impression of the power of reserve. It was the thought of the reserve energies that had been compacted into them, he said, that stirred me. The mountains had given them their iron and rich stimulants. The hills had given them their soil. The clouds had given their rain and snow. And 1,000 summers and winters had poured forth their treasures about their vast roots. No young man can hope to do anything above the commonplace who has not made his life a reservoir of power on which he can constantly draw, which will never fail him in any emergency. Be sure that you have stored away in your powerhouse the energy, the knowledge that will be equal to the great occasion when it comes. If I were 20 and had but 10 years to live, said a great scholar and writer, I would spend the first 9 years accumulating knowledge and getting ready for the 10th. I will. There are no 2 words in the English language which stand out in bolder relief, like kings upon a checkerboard. To so great an extent are the words, I will. There is strength, depth, and solidity, decision, confidence, and power, determination, vigor, and individuality in the round, ringing tone which characterizes its delivery. It talks to you of triumph over difficulties, of victory in the face of discouragement, of will to promise and strength to perform, of lofty and daring enterprise, of unfettered aspirations, and of the 1,001 solid impulses by which man masters impediments in the way of progression. As one has well said, he who is silent is forgotten. He who does not advance falls back. He who stops is overwhelmed, distanced, and crushed. He who ceases to become greater becomes smaller. He who leaves off gives up. The stationary is the beginning of the end. It precedes death. To live is to achieve, to will without ceasing. Be thou a hero. Let thy might tramp on eternal snows its way. and through the ebon walls of night hew down a passage unto day. And that, warriors, is what I want you to know today. I want you to know that you can live with the weak, subject to the changes in weather will of an ordinary man, or you can live with the bold, strong, intensely disciplined will of a warrior. Until next time, always believe.